So primarily what you were hearing were the sound of the singing bowls. But if you were wondering what some of the other sounds you heard, if you had your eyes closed, were, this is cedar flute, Native American plains style. They often have a bird or animal totem or fetish on top. I think this one is a sparrowhawk. I'm not sure, but it's... In fact, I think, Mark, you were playing some Carlos Nakai earlier that had, he's the popularizer of this sound. These are gourd rattles. Mexican, Toys R Us. These little fellas here are called ting shas. They are paired cymbals. Often I go around instead of the tuning forks and I play these in people's ears. They're used traditionally to call people to attention at the beginning or end of meditation. A lot of what makes these sounds different and extraordinary is they're not from a tempered scale. Our Western ears are accustomed to hearing instruments that are tuned, and the symphony orchestra all tunes A440, everybody tunes, you know. Now there's great arguments in the sound healing community. No, it should be A432. No, it should be the true A or the true C. I don't pay too much attention to that. But the point is everyone tries to play in tune. Even if I'm playing guitar with someone, we're like, well, are we in tune with each other? These instruments come from a culture where they're all individually made, hand-hammered, and so they're not coming off an assembly line. So you have two bowls, and maybe one is, when I say 432, that's the number of the hertz, or the number of beats per second. These tuning forks that I was playing for you before, there's a C256 and a G384. That's the number of beats per second. So here you might have two bowls that are almost but not quite the same. One is maybe 256 and the other is like 261. Yes, you in the maroon shirt.
How is it that, even because these are not tuned to each other, that every one of them sounds like it could have been played with any other one and the sound is harmonious?
That's because we begin to hear how all sounds are related, and we drop some of the artificial. These are learned things within our culture, that certain sounds are dissonant and certain sounds are harmonious. And if you go to Bali, Shelley's been to Indonesia a lot, and you take groups down there, right, for retreats.
September.
Yeah, the gamelan is a metallophone that is played, and they're deliberately tuned to create. So what I was saying is, if you have two that are close but not quite the same, what you get are what are called beat patterns or interference patterns. And that's where those lovely thrumming, throbbing waves of sound, and then the high shimmery stuff comes in. It's like if the analogy is if you took 2 or 3 pebbles and dropped them in a pond, visually, you'd see the ripples spreading out, and then at a certain point they would collide. And there are 2 types of interference. They're called interference patterns. Those wonderful patterns that are created when the ripples collide. There's positive and negative interference. Either the waves strengthen each other or they cancel each other out. And acoustically, that causes those something like this.
Vibrato.
like to think as hypnotherapists that we are guilty of positive interference. We are hired to mess with our clients' messes. So if we can interfere with their stuck states, that's positive interference. Usually interference has a kind of negative connotation. Stop, you're interfering with what I'm doing. But actually in physics it's just what causes those lovely sounds, you know. This is a cowbell. Probably, maybe a camel bell, I'm not sure, but it's got a lovely sound again. You hear that? Because within itself, a bell or a bowl will create 2 or 3 different tones, and they're not just. There are a lot of people who say, "Well, do you have a chakra set?" And I know there are schools that teach this and people who believe that there's certain correspondence in ancient esoteric wisdom teachings. They talk about laws of correspondence. This color corresponds with this planet, which corresponds with this note, which corresponds with this gemstone, which corresponds with this, etc. Problem with those systems is that you pick up 2 or 3 books and they'll disagree. No, A is the heart chakra. No, C is the heart chakra. Who do you believe? Whatever. I follow intuition. I say people are not. Deepak Chopra said, well, he said a lot of stuff, but he said, we treat, in medicine, we treat the body as a snapshot. But it's not. It's like if you took a snapshot of the ocean, you'd see these waves frozen, but they're not, they're moving. The body's constantly changing and shifting, so what might be a sound that feels good for somebody in this area or this area might feel different for somebody else. It might be different on Tuesday or Friday, or if it's rainy or sunny out, or, all those kinds of, there's so many variables. So one of my great teachers who I often mention, beautiful Painted Arrow, who was still is, he's still around, Picary's Pueblo medicine man, and I had the good fortune to meet and study with for decades, used to admonish his students, don't get stuck in the form. So, people want a form, they want a system. These are wonderfully non-systematic. I still am surprised after 20 years of playing these bowls. I delight in being surprised by what combinations of sounds come out. I never play them exactly the same way. I kind of have a sense that certain bowls go together. There are little families of subsets within them, but yeah. And,
how about when your voice goes in a bowl?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'll talk about that in a second. I just want to go through showing the rest of these. This is a more modern thing. This is made by Sabian, the cymbal maker, and it's called a resonating bell. And I have a whole chromatic set of these at home. This is a C, and it too has a. And whenever you can move something, that's the thing with the bells up in the cathedrals or gongs. When they're moving freely through space, that changes the sound too, right? And these are ocarinas. Ocarinas. They're from usually South or Central America, Mexico, and they usually have a little critter. This is like a little hippo or a crocodile or a Venus of Willendorf or something like that, and very simple four holes, but it makes a lovely sound. And sound carries because they're made for high mountains usually, and so. This is another one. I don't think I played this one. This is a 3-hole one. Higher pitch sounds like this. That's pretty much the array of instruments I brought with me today. Voice. I use my voice. I was shy about my voice years ago, and I got over it. Well, it's hard when you have a dad who's a serious opera singer. You know, it's just like, you know. I played him Bob Dylan once. He went, "That's not singing." But the voice is our first instrument. It's the instrument that we're all born with. And in the Talmud, which is one of the commentaries of the Jewish holy books, it says, "God listens when I pray and loves me when I sing." So, yeah, you know, I encourage myself to use my voice more. And so there's something that is just shaping my mouth with the sounds that are emanating from the bowl by placing my lips close to the rim where I can accentuate different notes. And that's what you maybe were talking about, is this. But then I also sing. Sometimes I try to find a note that works, and there's extended vocal techniques or something that I work with sound healing. There's something called overtone or harmonic singing. It's practiced by the people of Tuva and Mongolia, sometimes called magical voice. It's a shamanic practice where you learn to accentuate some of the notes in the overtone series. Oh, you're producing a pedal tone, and it sounds, I think, pretty far out. And it sounds like this. And sometimes I do that into a bowl while I'm playing it and try to sort of get some of those notes to match up. So that's that.